All right, so today I'm pretty happy. First of all, most of my voice has come back. And second of all, this came in the mail. It's my Xeon processor that we're going to do on the Dell Optiplex. However, that's not this video. You're going to have to stay tuned. You're going to have to get subscribed or whatever. Or just tune in a video, 2 videos or whatever from now to see that action. Hopefully I'll be able to get quite a bit of testing done, and we'll go with that. Today, we're talking about these and how little things like this compare to what's on your motherboard. If you have it on your motherboard. All right, so a quick little reminder about Wi-Fi over the recent several years. Now, the Wi-Fi has been a standard for quite a while, or it has been an option on things for quite a while. Most people have it in their home now. There's a lot of, quite a bit of most people now, that's how they're getting their internet access, especially on their mobile devices, on your tablets, on your laptops, maybe your gaming systems and all that stuff. A lot of that's done over Wi-Fi. Now the standard is moving from Wi-Fi 5 to Wi-Fi 6. We'll talk about that just a little bit, not a whole lot, because this isn't a technical thing on Wi-Fi standard. Basically, there's some nomenclature behind it, 802.11, and then there's a letter that identifies what standard your equipment follows. In this case, this is an N. N is in Nancy. That means that this is actually Wi-Fi 4, and the speeds of that are going to be less than something like this, which is a Wi-Fi 5. Coincidentally, Wi-Fi 5, or in this case, it's 802.11 AC, is also what's on the motherboard we're going to be looking at. And I thought, or would think, that because the motherboard has constant driver updates and all that stuff, that of course that would be the fastest one. Maybe, maybe not. Quite frequently in today's homes, we're upgrading to Wi-Fi 6, which is the 802.11ax Alpha X-ray standard. That means that it is, again, going to be faster. It's going to fill in a lot of those dead spots. It helps create an area that has more coverage. It's a different bandwidth, things of that nature. Most all of these, like your remote control and some other things, most all of these are going to operate on 2 different bands, 2.4 gigahertz and 5.0 gigahertz. 2.4 has a wider range. It's not quite as fast. Not as many dropouts, though, if you are in a shorter range. Or at that longer range, I mean. 5.0 gigahertz is faster, but it has a shorter range, and you might have some dropouts if you're further away. Wi-Fi 6 helps with a little bit different structure. It helps kind of fill in some of those gaps where your range should be better, your coverage should be better, it should move through the walls a little bit easier, and you shouldn't have these dead spots and dropouts. We're still getting into that technology. This is not that video either. I mean, we might do something later with that. But all of these devices are capable of taking what is broadcast as a Wi-Fi 6 signal, which your typical cell phone or maybe your tablet already has, and using the next step down, because that's one of the requirements, that it has to be able to, even if your device emits or transmits a Wi-Fi 6 signal, it still has to be able to get to Wi-Fi 4 or Wi-Fi 5 or your motherboard. That's just the way it is. Some things will become obsolete over time, but the typical practice is to make sure that it follows, it's backward compatible. Not unlike your Xbox, but very much unlike your PlayStation. And some PCs, we might even say. So first thing I did is I went ahead and I just used regular speed test as an application, the Ookla speed test, because it's the most consistent. And I could get pretty good average speeds, and I would go ahead and do a couple runs, and I picked the one that was the closest to the average speed for all of these. The first one up was the small device. This one doesn't have any outside antennas. I've got this with the Dell Optiplex. It was included in that. I have had no problems connecting to any internet service or any Wi-Fi signal that was there that I had password for or whatever with this adapter. It's been very good. Now, it did cause me a little bit of an issue when I was trying to connect that and, say, a wireless keyboard. And I don't know why that would have been. I do know that these are also a lot of times Bluetooth adapters. But, yeah, I don't know why that was trying to cause me issues like that. But I had to put I had to make sure they were in physically different USB, not on the same part of the back of the motherboard. I had to make sure that they were separate. and so they wouldn't interfere with each other. A little bit strange, but I guess that's probably not unheard of. When I went ahead and ran the speed test on this, I found very consistent upload speeds. That means the data going from your computer up to the cloud or up to whatever service. And that was consistent with both the 2.5 and the 5 gigahertz range. When I tested it on the 5 gigahertz range, it was between 195 and 200 megabits down. Your average streaming device, say if you're trying to stream a movie or a game or something like that to get full 1080p quality, is typically about 40 to 50 megabits per second. So plenty of room there. About 200 or so, and 75 up. 2.4 gigahertz, the longer range, that actually went down to about 130. Between 130 and 135. And again, we had about 75 or so going up. Very consistent, very good, not bad at all. Definitely capable of being able to stream, say a tablet or something like that. I would be surprised if most tablets got those speeds up and down, but fit into the back of your computer, especially that Dell Optiplex that might be a little bit older. Those speeds are perfectly fine, and it's something that's very, very acceptable. And this came absolutely free. You can buy these for about 10 or 11 bucks, I believe. Amazon, Newegg, and stuff like that. There's no antenna, it's just a small little, and like I said, it's what they call an N standard, 802.11n. Also call it a Wi-Fi 4 adapter. This one happens to say Wi-Fi N, so N is in Nancy. Moving over to the one that does have the antenna. This has dual antennas. It is marked as a Wi-Fi 5 or 802.11 AC, Alpha Charlie. Two high-gain antennas. You would figure this would do a lot better than the smaller version, and it does a lot better than the smaller version. In the 5 gigahertz range, remember that's the faster and a little bit shorter range. This was getting about 260 to 265, somewhere in that area downstream, and upstream was about 260. Oddly enough, I was getting very similar numbers on 2.4. Now, to do my test, I wasn't trying to stretch it out to opposite ends of the house or anything like that. I was using, basically, it is sitting about 10 feet away from me through a block wall. So enough to give it resistance, but not enough to cause it major problems or have major dropouts. It did surprise me that those numbers were that close. Didn't surprise me that I got good results for both. But I was a little bit surprised that both of them were that close, though. Again, 2.4 and 5 were both somewhere between the 260 and 270 range, both for upstream and downstream. So a nice improvement on the downstream. Oh, nice improvement on both, actually. A really, really big improvement on upstream. Now, why is that important? For me, something like that would be important if I've got a YouTube channel and I'm trying to upload videos and I need the speed going up. After all, that's the entire reason I got fiber internet, so I could get 500 up and 500 down on a normal Ethernet connection. It's nice to know that I can get at least half that with a Wi-Fi adapter if I choose to use that. Now, you'd think that on the motherboard it would be even better because motherboards have frequent updates, and you can get, your driver updates, or you know that Windows constantly updates, and you're getting reminders for this update or that update or this hardware or that hardware. And I have at times updated drivers for my Wi-Fi, along with a couple other things like the sound drivers and all that stuff there on the motherboard. I have done a BIOS update on that motherboard. So there are a couple of different things that you would think that would improve it even more. Well, the first surprise for me is that I couldn't choose between 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz. I thought that was a little strange, but I tried several times, and I thought it was just my imagination. I was trying to configure something wrong. So I physically turned the computer off, turned it back on, reset everything, and did it again. And again, was only able to get 5 gigahertz. Was not able to get 2.4 gigahertz. I didn't go back and look yet. I might go back and try to research that a little bit more. It does. I know for a fact that motherboard supports, or that Wi-Fi is 802.11 AC, which is Wi-Fi 5. But I was not able to figure out to this point, and have not gone back and looked yet, why I wasn't able to select or see a 2.4 gigahertz. That did kind of surprise me, but hey, that just means I have one set of numbers to confirm. And that set of numbers was a little bit confusing as well, because even though I got downstream speeds that were close to the high gain adapter, or the Wi-Fi adapter with antennas, after all, the motherboard has antennas too, even though I got downstream speeds that were close to that, my upstream speeds were more like Wi-Fi, the other one, the one without the antennas. That only ranged around 100 to 115 in most cases. So that in itself was a little bit of a surprise, and I wasn't expecting that. But I did run the test several times just to make sure and try to make sure that I wasn't hallucinating. Still, I thought I was having issues because I couldn't find 2.4 gig. I couldn't select that. It would only give me the 5 gig option. So naturally, I assumed this was also bad. But it turns out it's good data as well. So I was getting about 250 or so down, but only getting in the 110 to 112 range most of the time up. So although it was a little bit confusing, it makes me think, believe it or not, that a USB with, an item like this that is available for like $25 on your e-tailer like Amazon or Best Buy or Newegg or whoever, something like this that you can find in your local store or order online is actually, or could actually be better than what's already equipped on your motherboard. So for those of you that don't have a computer that already has a Wi-Fi adapter, don't feel like you're missing out. You have to go buy something retail to plug into the back of your machine. It's a USB 3.0. I think the other one was 2.0 or 3.0. 2.0 is the minimum on that. This one's a USB 3.0, but the throughput was great. It was as fast download and faster upload than the motherboard was. So you see something weird every day. It's kind of surprising. I was very surprised, and I don't know if I don't know if that's what I expected. Well, I will be honest with you. I expected the motherboard to outshine everything else. I expected it to get more in the range of about 300 both ways, and it didn't do it because typically when I'm doing it on my phone. Now my phone it decodes Wi-Fi 6, so it's a slightly different animal, but I can get close to 500 going up and going down on my phone. And I was expecting to get at least most of that from the motherboard, and it surprised me that it didn't. So my conclusion, what I went through all that just to tell you what. Well, first of all, if your budget is 10 or 12 bucks, something like that works great. And especially if all you're doing is streaming movies, or if you're doing some light gaming or something like that, even some heavier gaming, depending on how many devices you're using in your home. If you are the only one, or there maybe are only a few devices, something like this is perfect. Otherwise, it might be twice as much money, but it's twice as much performance too. And it doesn't break the bank. We're only talking about 20 to 25 bucks for something like this, and it works great. I invite you to go through and kind of look and see what device you have or how you're hooked up or whatever. But obviously if you're running Ethernet, that's going to be the best thing. If you can put a wired connection on the back of your device, that's going to be the best thing overall. Laptop, gaming system, computer, what have you. But these are solid options, and in some cases better than what's already included on your motherboard. So that is all I have this time, folks. I just thought it was interesting and I would share it with you, especially because I've been playing around with it and got curious. Somebody had asked me to actually do a video on a Wi-Fi card, and I thought, well, I don't have a Wi-Fi card on me, but I've got a couple of Wi-Fi adapters, so we'll check those out instead. And very, very surprised at the results. So, yeah, let me know what you think. Like the video if you liked it. Dislike it if you didn't like it. If you got anything out of it, don't forget to throw a like on it. Subscribe, do all those YouTube things. Don't forget to visit me on the other socials and all that. Let me know what you think. Are you using something like this? Are you using just a regular, I don't know what they would call it, maybe a button Wi-Fi adapter? Or are you using what's already on your motherboard? Or are you plugged straight into the wall? Let me know down in the comments. I invite you to share with me and with everybody else. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, and in addition to all those social media things and all that stuff and the YouTube stuff, I just got one thing to remind you of, folks. Be nice to each other, okay? Be kind. It costs nothing to be nice. Smile, wave, hold the door open, tell somebody good morning, good evening, whatever might be applied. You'd be surprised, and I tell you on every video, and I really, really mean it. You have no idea what it means just to do something nice or say something nice or just be kind to somebody, and it costs absolutely nothing, and it can make a huge difference in somebody's day. So until the next time when I'm taking a look at this and some other things I got no business doing, I'll see you later.